The Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius, he has this stoic quote where he says, "Don't be overheard complaining, not even to yourself." And I like that quote and I see the wisdom in it. But at the same time, I feel like complaining, dare I say, can be a remedy. Sometimes you really do need to talk about your problems and maybe you don't have a positive perspective on them, but just talking about them can really heal you. How do you balance those two perspectives? Don't be overheard complaining, not even to yourself, but at the same time, sometimes that can be a remedy. What do you think?
Mm. I think it is important to pay attention to what are some of those thoughts are you having, like the complaints, quote unquote. I don't like the word complaints because it sounds like you're nagging. But that's just my perspective. I feel like complaining is more like there is something underneath that complaining that's making you say those things to yourself. So I feel like in a way, it's like, let's go deeper than that. Obviously, my job as a therapist, as a licensed therapist, that's what I do every single day. Let's go deeper than that, right? Especially if you grew up in an environment where people have, told you that you're nagging too much or that you're nagging or you're too much. And you might feel that way. But I think it can get to a point that you might feel like you're nagging. I'm not gonna say you're nagging yourself, but like you could just dismiss how you're feeling because you learn that from the beginning that's nagging or complaining. So I think you might, my opinion is just to really tune in and kind of lean in more towards like, what does that mean for me? What is that? What is the message that it's bringing? What is the information? And sometimes I describe this to my clients in therapy, our emotions. Sometimes, obviously we don't want to make decisions out of just emotions, but we want to identify the emotion. Okay, I'm feeling frustrated. Well, why am I feeling frustrated? What's happening? What is that frustration telling me? What message that frustration is bringing onto me? And then I'll make a determination based on that data, and then I'll make a decision based on that. So not necessarily making the decision out of the emotion, but more like learning more about yourself and learning more about the feeling and what message the feeling is bringing in order to make a decision. So I don't know if that kind of answers some of your questions. What are your thoughts about that?
Well, let me ask you, because I do believe talking can be a cure, but do you think complaining can be a cure or no?
Well, complaining, I'm taking complaining more as I'm just letting you know how I feel about something. Um, so that right there is just information, which is different than talking. I don't know if that makes sense to
Yeah,
you.
it's
I
like
mean,
venting, right?
right, right. Venting is like, oh, I'm telling you about my day and this is what I did today and things where, it's kind of keeping each other updated. But I think complaining is that has more like a deeper meaning that this is bothering me.
Hmm.
Whether it's bothering me about whether it could be related to a trigger, something from the past, kind of what I would call emotional wounds. They're still there, they're still painful. So it's like, okay, what's underneath that? There is this exercise which is called the anger iceberg, which is basically the iceberg, right? You see the iceberg and then you see the oceans and then we see like a little ship here. And then underneath the iceberg, there's so many emotions. Like people can only see the tip of the iceberg, which is the anger, the behavior. But underneath the anger, there's different emotions or sadness, frustration, disappointment, hungry. For sometimes we're just angry because we're hungry. We need to eat, or lack of sleep, or there's just so many emotions underneath. And sometimes we might just get, sometimes we all, the majority of the time, if we're seeing something, seeing someone that's angry, we only see the anger, but then we don't see what's underneath the anger. What's causing the person to behave in that way?
Yeah.
Are they feeling frustrated about something? Are they complaining about something? And then therefore the way they express the emotion is out of anger.